Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the League of Inches podcast. Midweek, which means only one thing to you guys. It's our review show for round two. Plus, we'll talk, our preview show. I shouldn't say review. What a dreadful start. A preview show for round two. Bit of news in and around the game as well to open the week up. So a few talking points there. We'll go over finally and put an end to his name. Zach Lomax will be the last time we talk about Zach Lomax for hopefully a very, very long time. Talk about Ponga and obviously now playing for the Kiwis. Warbrick, the signing to the Warriors and what it could mean for them in the future. And we'll talk about the Mitch Barnett deal for Parramatta and that them coming in late and what this deal's worth and what we think of it as well. Fair few TLT key points to talk about as well, which we will delve into. And then obviously our best bets and tips segment right at the end, thanks to bets.com.au. Firstly, shout out to Caxton Street Brewing Company, our major sponsor of the podcast. Greatly appreciate their constant support and to help bring us this show each and every week to you guys. Again, guys, if you're out and about, you're going to any games in and around Brisbane, please make sure you're heading there. I had a very good chat to Tori, the owner, today, just about some Magic Round stuff, which hasn't been completely locked away, so I can't release too much. All I'll tell you now, guys, is you love your content creators and you love what we do and the like. Make sure you book a little time slot in both your calendars for the Saturday and then the Sunday. We'll be hosting some things there throughout that sort of mid-morning time before all the game starts, so we have time to go over to the game. So I'll release more information when I've got it. I literally just have not got the complete okay yet, but I've been told it will happen, just about locations, whereabouts in the place, things like that. So, and I'll be doing it with a couple of our creator mates as well, which would be really, really cool there. Let's welcome in Brent once again. Brent, how's things, mate? How are you?
Hey, brother. I'm good, thank you. Pleasure to be here as always. Mate, I'm just loving the footy being back on. Plenty to talk about, plenty to get through. Round one in the books, but I'm in heaven once again. All the good parenting I've done for the last few months has gone out the window. The neglect's back on the table. Footy's back, baby.
It is a bit like that, isn't it? It's like all of a sudden the missus realise, like, oh crap, footy season's back. The weekend spent making that indent back in the couch, but how good is it? I often just put a bit of deep heater up and around myself just to make sure I get that full vibe and sensation of rugby league season back in the back of the hemis. Denker rub it all up. So
tried it on the goalies, or I haven't gone that far yet.
I haven't tried it on purpose. It has happened once or twice in my life, unfortunately. Back in my athletics days, pouring it on and you'd have a bit of sore, and then all of a sudden you'd nick it, and yeah, it's not nice. So shout out to those out there that have felt the pain as well. It's not pleasant, and it just feels like whatever you do, it just stays there for about a good 2 minutes or so, and then you're like, all right, whatever. So not nice at all. Maybe at the end of the year, mate, whoever loses this betting battle, that's the punishment. They've got to sit there for like 30 seconds with a bit of the old deep heat on the gonads. Maybe that might be the way to go. We've got to play something here. I think we're not playing for free. We've got to put something on the line. I reckon, mate. I'm liking that,
mate. It's not 30 seconds. It's probably a good evening of pain, I'd think. Get the ambulance on standby.
You could do it on air. It's done on
air. live application for everyone to see. I must admit, if that's the case, me bets will be shortening a bit. That's for sure. I'm into the $10s, into the $20s, everything I can bet on.
Mate, we'll get into the odds shortly and the results from last week. You have nothing to worry about because you are off to a flyer. You've got me a little bit nervous after the way you've started your betting. We were pretty good, so shout out to anyone who followed us in. We actually did quite well between us on the weekend. You'll definitely come out on top, which was great to see what we're hopefully trying to achieve with doing this.
Won't last, brother, won't last.
No, it won't. Let's get into some of the big news topics that's happened over the last few days that we weren't able to talk about, obviously, on Sunday night. That they weren't here. But Zach Lomax, the saga is finally over. Thank Christ. I felt like that was never going to end, but it finally has. A few little talking points in and amongst this to talk about. I don't want to promote other codes, but he's gone and signed for rugby union for a couple of years. Good luck to him. I literally couldn't tell you two rugby union players. I just don't care about it. So that is what it is. I'm a rugby league man, and I couldn't care where he's playing or who he's playing for and what he's going to do. Good on him. That probably suits him. That's what I've literally said from the start. He's trying to cry foul over its limited possibilities of getting work and things like that. I just called bullshit on that every single time because he originally signed for R360, which is a rugby union competition. There's 1,000 rugby union competitions in the world that he now is playing for one of those. So I'm just more so, Brent, grateful and thankful that this is over. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, mate, and he didn't waste any time, did he? Managed to sort that out pretty quickly. So, probably to be expected. Yeah, as you said, good to sort of put a lid on that whole circus and move on. I mean, I'll be surprised if we don't see him back in the game after that 2 years, or even if he sees out that 2 years. To be honest, mate, he's over there now out the west, which is an interesting place to be given the circumstances around some new clubs coming in. But yeah, good to put a lid on it, and it's a bit like Voldemort, that name around here now. Surely we just don't say it anymore. Off to Rara.
After the next about 2 or 3 minutes, we will definitely be that's it for Zach Lomax being presented on a rugby league show for at least. I was going to say 2 years, but that's probably 1 year for him. That seems to be the norm for him. Sign a couple of years and only stay for one.
Can I ask you, Jolie, just quickly? You reckon he ends up playing for the Wallabies in the World Cup next year? You reckon they pick him?
I'm assuming so.
Would you watch it?
Shit, aren't they?
I'm hearing they could be, if we've got Angus, Marky Mark, you've got Joey Sawali, you've got your Lomax, you had those 4 boys running around, I'll watch it.
If I'm not doing anything and I'm on the couch and there's no footy on at the time, I'll probably have it in the background, but I wouldn't go out of my way. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not going to evolve my weekend around watching it. I literally think the last time I watched it was like the Steve Larkham days and George Gregan and Wendell and all that when they all went over there, Matty Rogers. So that was a fun time. And then I don't think I've watched a full game since then. I want to bring up a couple of little quick talking points here. So the Melbourne Storm side of things, I love how everyone was talking about it the last week or two and talking so much on the fact that Parramatta loses out and doesn't get anything about this. They've won in the end once again because they've restricted him going to a rival, strengthening them, which I think is fantastic for a Parramatta point of view. I want to ask you, Brent, what's the Storm got out of this? Because if I'm looking at this correctly, they've paid for his legal fees. That was part of a little deal that they had going at the time. They've paid for half of basically Parramatta's legal fees, and they've now lost him and he's not playing for the Melbourne Storm. So this for mine, I know people talk about the Melbourne Storm and how good they are business-wise and everything, but this one has just been a complete and utter failure if I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? They've obviously gone all out, if you will, to try and get him and do what they can to support getting him there. That's all pretty well known. As far as those costs are concerned, I'm assuming it's probably a bit of a drop in the ocean type thing. I don't know the net worth of the clubs or how all that sort of things works. As I said, I think on previous shows, it more just gives me more questions about these sorts of scenarios in terms of how that's supposed to work. But yeah, it's I guess they've had a dip at it. It hasn't really worked out. To be honest, Jolie, I know you probably have your 2 cents on that side of things, but I want to turn it around and almost flip it on its head to you. Do you see it as an opportunity missed for Parra in the sense of, so he was on about 650 a year, right, with you guys, roughly?
I'd say 750.
Well, it was something around that, right? So I think he was probably on not unders, but certainly not decent. Uppers. Not uppers, you know what I mean? Certainly wasn't max. It wasn't like he was on 800 plus, anything like that. So they had him for some good value, right? Is this an opportunity missed for the Parramatta club in terms of potentially being able to flip him for another player, like in a trade essentially? Because I know they now don't have that. They get the money back in the cap, and there's obviously a bit going on there. But do you think that they could have got some more value out of him at some point, or are you happy to just sort of cut ties and say, see you later, Zachy boy?
I'm happy to cut ties and say, see you later, Zachy boy, in terms of the fact that we asked the Storm for certain players and they wouldn't come to the party. By all reports, majority of NRL clubs out there don't want to borrow him either, which I think says enough that because there's definitely some teams out there that could use Zach Lomax on the wing and it would strengthen them drastically. So the fact that you get a New South Wales and Australian representative player and clubs don't want to touch him should speak volumes in itself. I guess right at the end when they tried to offer someone like Pahulu for a player swap, I'm like, got to be kidding yourself. Like that's arrogance in my opinion. That's just nothing but utter arrogance in doing that because Pahulu and Zach Lomax, there is no comparisons and he wouldn't help us and strengthen us at all. So I don't think, while the Storm weren't coming to the party and actually putting together a decent sort of player, whatever, if they were coming to get to the party with like either a Coates or a Howard, yeah, I'd be probably disappointed because I can see the benefit of having one of those players at the club. But how it's all sort of panned out, the sort of arrogance and thinking they could control everything from the Storm side of things, I'm happy the fact that basically it's become egg on their face for them, and we'll talk about someone else in a second, but it's basically effectively blown up in both of their faces. So it's just I'm happy with sort of how it's ended in the end. I know Parramatta money wise don't need that kind of money. They make that in a day going off the pokies and stuff like that. So that was chump change. We spoke about that a little bit earlier with chump change with players. That would have been. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, mate, that's fine. Just curious to get your thoughts. But you're right. I think, as I said, it's a good look for the game, regardless of what was upheld at court. And hopefully it's a change moving forward. And good to see Melbourne not actually get a good outcome for once on something, that's for sure.
Shock horror. The other one I want to quickly talk about is Mr. PVL, Peter V'landys. So basically, I just want to give him some advice. Imagine me trying to give PBL some advice. Mate, pick your battles next time. Seriously, you were so in bat for this guy and all about him and the like. But what's happened? He's left the code and it hasn't worked out for you. And now you've been made to basically look like a complete and utter fool, basically, like eggs massively on his face because he was very clearly only one-sided in this whole argument, which I didn't really like. And it hasn't worked out. He's now a week later after declaring he wanted to be a Melbourne Storm player, he's holding a press conference saying his dream was to play for the Wallabies and how good of a dream it is. I'm like, man, this guy has just completely lost it. Why the NRL went so far into bat for him is beyond me enough. I continue to say it. The fact that as soon as they got called into the courtrooms, NRL and stuff to talk and to release some files and the like, I love how within 48 hours this was basically dealt with from that. So just out there, we put the conspiracy theories to test, but I can't go past that part where they didn't want things to be shown. That just I can't get past that, and I'm so shocked at the moment. Now we're almost a week past. I know maybe because it's still the talk about he's left the code. But I'm hoping there's a few journos out there that actually start to look into this a lot more and start asking some serious questions to people going, why did you shut up shop so quickly? Like, what are you potentially hiding or the like? So, yeah. What are your thoughts, mate?
Mate, I reckon if we knew the truth, it'd make a really good Underbelly series. An NRL Underbelly series.
Bring it back. Bring back Underbelly. What a series.
It just, like I said, and we've talked about it before, and it'd be good to stop, but it just makes you wonder what else we don't know and see behind the scenes and how much strong arming goes on of some of the weaker clubs that they probably just get it put over them, to be honest. And as I said, good on Para for standing up to it and giving basically PVL and the Storm the big FU and saying, well, let's go do it the proper way. Because had they not done that, I guarantee you who would be running around in a purple jersey right now getting named for week 2. So, yeah, mate, as I said, it gives you a bit of an uneasy feeling about what actually goes on. And, man, I'd love to know and love to be a fly on the wall for some of those meetings and text messages. Oh, release the files, absolutely. But, yeah, it just leaves a little bit of a bad taste and makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, one final point on this. I just want to call a bit of BS on something that's been floated out in the media world the last 24 hours. The fact that the NRL's pissed off that Lomax is now selling another code and they're not happy about that. Like, I go back to that and think, hang on a second, this is the game that allows players to be on media bans and things like that when they're going into Origin. Like, this is the pinnacle of it. They're worried about promoting the game and being out there and stuff. They don't force players to go out and talk to the media. They don't care about that when it suits them. And when a player goes, oh, like last year, Len, you didn't talk, and it would have sold so many clicks and likes and whatever across social media if he came out and spoke in the lead up to obviously the hatred with Queensland and the like, and the same with Latrell. But they sit there and allow these guys to do media bans, but when it suits them to suit their agenda, oh no, this is outrageous because now Lomax is out there selling another code. I didn't hear this talk when Tuivasa Sheck left. I didn't hear this talk when Benji left. I didn't hear this talk about any of these sorts of guys. So it's a very big agenda in my opinion, and hopefully they stick solid with this and we don't see any more media bans either, because I haven't been a huge fan of them from the word go. And the NRL is so big on this aspect of the game, which I hope they are, because it's great to hear from a fan's point of view, these players talking. Hopefully we see better results through the media moving forward.
And to be honest, look in your own backyard first. I think you talk about image of the game and selling other codes, whatever you want to say. Well, first of all, using Volandi's own line on himself, all the bloke's doing is trying to put some more food on his family's table. And secondly, I think anything that you want to say about promotion of another code, the way you handle things like the Ezra Mam situation and things like that is far more detrimental to our own code. So get your own shit sorted in your own backyard before you start throwing stones at others. But yeah, that'll be it from me, mate.
Mic drop. Let's move on. See you later, Zachy Lomax. Probably see you in a few years once you play that dreadful code and touch the ball twice in a whole game and realise how crap it is. But hey, you're getting paid some decent bickies apparently. But moving on. Kalen Ponga, your boy, Brent. It's been official now tonight. I wrote this up to say the process had begun, but now it's been confirmed. He is now a New Zealand Kiwi, so he is able to play for the Kiwis as early as the World Cup at the end of the year, which I think is fantastic. I've got a part 2 question to this, but first I just want to know your instant reactions. I guess it is quite new for us being on air. It's only been out for about an hour or two now that he's actually got the all clear. What are your thoughts around it?
Yeah, mate, I think, I'm not privy to all the details around what the criteria was and how this has worked out. So just talking off the cuff here in terms at face value. So, mate, yeah, it's great for the game, obviously. I think that a player of his caliber, and I'm trying not to be biased here, and when he's on song, he's easily one of the best players in the game. And if you can pick him in his preferred position, there's obviously a lot of competition in that Aussie team. But if you can see him out on the field, the more the better, I think. Whether or not, I'm not sure. I can't obviously speak on behalf of the Kiwis and whether or not they think it's a good thing. Obviously, we'll get to something else on that in a minute. But when Kalen Ponga is humming, it's quite a sight, and if the more we can see guys like that, and it strengthens the international game, it gives the Aussies a bit more competition. Which, not saying they didn't have that already, but I think it's great. It's obviously good for the young fellas as well that aspire to that sort of in terms of that ability to now represent Queensland and go and play for your heritage. I think that's a really good part of it, and there's probably a lot of people in that camp, so to speak. So, yeah, I think it's a good outcome. Whether or not it hurts Australia in the long run, having guys that can play Origin and then not represent Australia, I think that gets a bit overlooked, and probably no one's going to feel sorry for Australian rugby league in that sense anytime soon. But it will be interesting to see the makeup of some Origin sides over the next few years and how many of them are actually, other internationals. But all in all, I think it's a good thing for the game. And, if we can get our best players on the field playing for other nations and make the quality of the footy better, I think it's a great thing.
What are your thoughts around the fact that he will probably play this year for both Queensland and New Zealand in the same year? Does that sit well with you?
Mate, I don't know where you want to go with it, because I wouldn't say I'm old school, but for me, it's all in the name, state of origin, right? We want to talk about all these criteria and this and that. And I totally understand guys come out here when they're young, when they're 5 or 6 or 10, and they grow up here and all that sort of thing. But you want to sort out eligibility rules. What does your birth certificate say? That's sort of the camp I'm in, to be quite honest. I know in the modern day game it's not quite like that, but to me it's as simple as that. There is a huge rivalry, hatred, history there, right? That's built on state versus state, mate versus mate type thing. But that is a huge part of it, and I really hope we don't lose some of that fabric of Origin in terms of like losing that passion, because me growing up watching that, it was these blokes wanted to rip each other's heads off. And particularly with even some of those island nations, there's a lot of respect there between them or whatever. I don't know if we're going to see some of that aggression that, they're obviously going to want to rip in, but I just feel like at times that could be a little bit different. But, maybe not. Maybe these guys grow up here, as I said, and they also watch the same thing, and maybe they do have a great passion. But I also really respect guys like Jerome Hughes coming out saying, I respect it for what it is and I'm not interested, because, I that's sort of my take on it. But I don't want everyone to think I'm out here hating on the fact that we've had these changes. But if you're asking my honest opinion, it's called State of Origin for a reason, not State of wherever you were when you're 12 years old. And you know what I mean? I'm probably running a bit far with it now, but I think you catch my drift, mate. You?
I love the honesty. That's what we're all about here, obviously, on this podcast, and just saying it as it is, which by all reports everyone loves, so they keep telling us that. So I'm a little bit in the other camp, to be fair with you, brother. I think obviously this day and age, I think it's more often than not, people have backgrounds and heritages and things like that. And I, for one, like I'm an Australian. I've been born here and everything. I was born in New South Wales. I now live in Queensland. I love the Blues, and if I was to ever got the chance to play rugby league and stuff and went to those levels, I'm the Blues and I represent Australia. But I have family ties to Greece and I have family ties to Scotland as well, where I know how special it would be one day, and I know how much my grandparents would love the fact if I played for those for them, and how much it would mean for our family, so that I can get that side. And I think that's happening a lot more these days with, I guess, rugby league and the NRL, is the fact that how heavily it's populated by Pacific Islanders, which I think is made the game so much better. Like the quality and the size, the strength, the athleticism, and all these blokes. There's no coincidence why. It's because this is increasing, and they're just fantastic athletes. I absolutely love watching the brand of footy they've brought to our game. But the problem with that, like with people like To'o and Luai, for examples, they've grown up in Mount Druitt. They love New South Wales. They want to do everything they can to represent their area, which I absolutely love. But then they also want to represent their families, which is Samoa. They don't have that. They love Australia. They're probably thankful for everything that Australia's provided to them, but they don't have the same passion and pride to pull on that Australian jersey, as we've seen them brought to tears now countless time after time for the anthems. They're not crying on State of Origin for when the anthem's on. They're sitting there. They're probably crying afterwards or before it because they're putting on the Blues jersey. But when you're watching them cry in the anthems, like these are grown men crying, with like knowing how much this means to them. I get it. I kind of just I sit back and I go, you know what? I know the old schoolers. I know like the Gordon Tallises, none of the world, how they keep saying it, and I get it. I just think at this stage of our game and I guess where we're at in general, it's sort of just. Yeah, I can wear it. I've come around to it. I like it. I like the fact that it grows our international game now. It's made it stronger, and it's the first time I think in a long, long time we're getting to the World Cup at the end of the year, and there's legit like 4 nations or something that I think can actually win this World Cup, and it wouldn't shock me. So it's the first time ever I think we go into a World Cup where I probably have both Tonga and Samoa ahead of England in like the rankings, and I think they're more of a chance to win this World Cup than England, and I think that's a fantastic thing for our international game. So,
I think my other concern, and again I'm just going off the cuff here, so I could sound a little bit ridiculous, is in a scenario there where you've I don't get me wrong, I love a haka before those Islander nations come. I love that. It makes just the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Love it, all about it. But we're going to have a situation where a lot of these guys, because they're freak athletes, as you said, are going to be in that origin space most likely. And do we see a situation where they're taking up these rep spots, getting the reps in, so to speak, at that rep level, and then come internationals, Australia are picking guys that aren't blooded as much at that higher level? Like, there's a part of me that thinks Australia will suffer as a result of this. And again, probably not going to be anyone that has much sympathy for Australian rugby league team. But at the end of the day, I'm an Aussie, mate. I'm a full-blown bogan ultimately. So, I'm all for the Aussies. And if this is detrimental to Australian rugby league, and I know we've absolutely pizzled teams for the last 20 years. Not all the time. We've definitely lost. Don't get me wrong. Don't take that the wrong way. And a better international competition is good for the game. But, if we lose a World Cup at the end of the year, I'm not going to be happy about it. That's for sure. I still want to win all those things.
There's still a criteria, though. So it's not like a free-for-all. There's some people trying to make it out like it's a free-for-all now. It's not the case. There's still the rule. I think it's 13. You need to be over in this country before the age of 13 to be eligible to be a State of Origin player. So that's why the likes of Jerome Hughes and the apparently just actually missed out. So I know Hughes came out and said he wouldn't wear the jersey anyway. But I think, if I remember correctly, and what I sort of looked into, he actually just missed out by like not even a year, I think it was. So players like him, like Fisher Harris, they can't come over and just play Origin. There's rules behind it. AFB can. That is a bit different. The only other thing I probably would say with this moving forward, like now that Ponga's switched over to New Zealand, I'd start putting a rule in place where that's it. He can't come back and play for Australia at one point if he chooses to. That's now him. He's sort of played for, I know it was only the Nines, but technically he's played for Australia already. He's now made a change over to play for New Zealand. I'd leave it at that. Same with other guys. I'd let him probably play a maximum of 2 nations, and I'm talking like New Zealand and then other history, their heritage can be Samoa or Tonga or something like that as well. I can wear that to a certain extent, but I wouldn't make it a free-for-all where they can just pick and choose each year who they can or can't play for, depending on, and I'm not saying players would do this, I don't think most of them would, depending on the strength. Like they might look at a team and go, oh, Samoa's looking strong as this year. They might win a World Cup. I'm going to go play for Samoa this year, but then next year, oh, hang on, New Zealand's looking actually pretty good next year. They got Keeney back full strength. They got Ponga now. I'm going to go play for the Kiwis. So hopefully that doesn't happen, and there's some rules in place for that side of things. So, yeah. Anyway, I think that's us. Us on that topic. We'll go on. Let us know, guys, what you think as well. If you're completely happy with it, what side of the fence you're on. Whatever it is, absolutely love to hear and respect all your thoughts there. Will Warbrick to the Warriors. So the Warriors haven't come out and confirmed anything yet at this stage. But what I'm getting told is the fact that this is basically a done deal. I think if anything, it's in that little 10-day cooling off period or something. And I don't think from the money reported that Warbrick's on for this Warriors deal, the Storm won't be coming to the party. I think it's a bit too much in the not a figure that they thought Warbrick would be worth. So credit to him for getting this great deal. From what I've heard, both parties aren't extremely happy that this got released in an announcement. It did. This got leaked because I think the Warriors wanted to have a chat with, obviously, I've had a few people message the page going, how's this happening? Because they've got, obviously, Khan Piera, then they've also got the 2 experienced ones in DWZ and RTS now. Both of them are technically off contract this year at the end of the year. Dallin has a mutual option, so it has to be agreed upon by both himself and the club to move on next year and be a Warrior. RTS is off contract this year, and I've heard even with R360 falling through that he wanted to go probably back to rugby union. We'll see if that's still the case, or he might get some good money by, I don't know, maybe the Bears, or maybe he waits for 1 year and goes to PNG or something. I'm not sure there, but by all reports, from what I've heard, the Warriors wanted to have some conversations with both of those senior players because they obviously respect them a lot. Now this has happened, and it's sort of, does this mean we're both out type thing? Because what I've heard, the long-term view for this wing spots are both Warbrick and Khan Piera over the next couple of years. Speed to burn for both. Tough, especially Warbrick's side of things are very tough. Both got some really silky skills, which will add a new dimension, I guess, to their back line. But what are your thoughts on this deal, Brent?
Yeah, I think it's awesome for the Wars. Obviously, Kiwi lad going back over to NZ as well. That's really good for Warbrick. And some of these boys go an extra leg sometimes when they go over and start playing in their own country. And yeah, that'll be awesome for the Wars. And yeah, I think there's a bit of a turn of the guard there on the wings. We've seen DWZ and Czech's been reliable the last couple of seasons, but good signing. The money, was it $750,000 season? Is that what?
I haven't seen any figures. All I've been told, it's enough for the Storm to go, I don't really need this 10-day cooling off period type thing. So that sort of says everything that I need to know in terms of it must be excessive to a degree. I think Warbrick's a good player, don't get me wrong. But if it's that sort of money we're talking, I don't know if he's quite worth that.
And that's sort of where I was going, Jolly. I think, full credit to him. Go and get your bag sort of thing and go home and play in front of your family. Great athlete, all that sort of thing. But I'm also not, if it's something close to upwards of $750,000 a season, I'm speculating here, but it's also not necessarily a value for money by either. They're definitely paying for him, and yeah, he's gonna do some wonderful things for them. But whether or not the use of that money in that position ends up hurting them later on down the track, I guess remains to be seen. But good on to the Wars. I'm sure plenty of Wars fans will be excited to see him there. And as we've said many times before, and we've seen it many times before, the Storm don't just willy nilly let guys go. So off he
happened a
goes.
fair bit the last 12 or so months. So there's got to be something brewing down there. There has to be. The amount of cap space they would now have, there has to be. But you look at the market, there actually really isn't that much. Like all these guys keep like re-signing and stuff. Like Tino, we thought was a done deal down there. Apparently Purdue, the latest I've heard from Purdue is the fact that he's staying at the Cowboys. But who knows? Like there's a lot of these players who they apparently are targeting are staying. So interesting times. Just thinking out loud as well. I wonder if this will have a positive or negative effect on the Warriors season. Obviously, if this is the case, then both wingers will either move on, retire, whatever they end up doing, but just move on potentially from the club. We know how big Warriors are. They're the family club. We know how much the Warriors means to both of these wingers as well. I wonder if the boys rally around them and go, let's do our best and do everything we can to get these boys out with a premiership, or it's I can't believe the club's sort of done this and it's been handled this way. And we've seen it in the past where a playing group just says F you basically to management, which I don't think is the case. I've spoken to obviously Cameron George and the like in the past, and the amount of respect in that organisation, I'd be very shocked if it's that way. But yeah, I'm just thinking out loud, thinking into the room if that could potentially be the case this year. It's a little watch for me as we move on. I know they played so well to start in round one, but yeah, curious after this sort of news.
Yeah, I mean, I think this day and age as well, a lot of the guys understand it's a business. You're trying to earn, get your money for your family because you can't play the game forever. They're obviously all, a lot of these guys are in international camps together as well, so they're I guess, close behind the scenes, probably a bit more than we get to see. I mean, it's interesting from Melbourne, the Brick, Warbrick definitely had some, I think it was concussion issues that he was dealing with for a fairly long time, Joel. So, he doesn't come with a full clean bill of health, and obviously don't wish anything negative upon someone in that way. But it's certainly an interesting signing. I certainly hope we don't see some sort of player revolt from the Wars as a result of it, but I think Shecky's come to the end. They all probably know that. I thought there was chats of him off the R360 at one point, to be honest. And, even if he doesn't, it just gives him a little bit more depth in those outside backs. You can slide him into centre if you needed to. But I don't know if we've heard this is the last year for Sheck or anything. But, yeah, mate, hopefully not, because they were great against the Chookies, and love to see the Wars movement again this year for sure.
Yeah, let's see that up the Wars movement, get loud and proud, especially Magic Round. It's always such a great day when the Warriors are on there. So passionate and so loud. It's so good. Lastly, on the news front, news that came out today. So Mitch Barnett, by all reports, will basically signed, sealed, delivered to the Brisbane Broncos. Apparently not quite the case. So apologies on that post, guys, that were out the other day. I got slightly mixed up, but can just post out and trying to give you guys exactly what we hear straight away, so you stay in the know. But Parramatta's come in late for Mitch Barnett, a 3-year deal worth $2.6 million apparently, which roughly equates to about $860K a year. Brent, what are your thoughts? Is this a good deal? I think from Mitch Barnett's perspective, it's a fantastic deal. From the Parramatta Eels point of view, I am just not sure about the third year. That's my biggest gripe out of everything. The money I can wear, but I can't wear that money in the third year. That just gets me.
And it's an interesting prospect considering, we've touched on it in the last few shows ago when we were talking about Barney. I think as in terms of you've already got guys like Big Barlow there that might not have how many more years he got in him. He could call it quits the end of the year. You got Jack DeBellin. I know you guys are going to have a bit of money there because you have offloaded a lot of guys, and maybe this is a bit of Lomax cash that they're able to splash a bit more than they would have ordinarily had splashed. And I guess the other thing, and I'm talking well out of school here, Jolly, so don't throw many questions back, but I also know that the salary cap can increase depending on when TV deals are due and stuff like that. So I don't know if any of that plays a part in it, and I'm talking out of line here because it might not be anything on the radar. But
I think it goes up a little bit almost every year at the moment, but it's just not It's like it's not much at all to go and ride home and to make a huge difference. I think the next huge increase we'll see is from that new TV rights deal, which is getting done and will be in effect from 2028. So they're currently in negotiations with, I think, 7, 9, and that are trying to work out what to do there.
I mean, when you're looking at your squad, mate, you got some young boys coming through there. Guys like Guymer and Dory, and there's another big fella. I don't think he's been named this week. I can't. Tuivati, I love him. I think he looks brilliant. Sorry, he's the 15 this week, but yeah, I don't know. I look at that squad and I don't think 800 plus thousand for a Mitch Barnett is what you guys need. But like I said, maybe Junior Polo's informed the club he's moving on at the end of the year, and you still obviously need those enforcers in the middle, and he certainly will be that. But again, doesn't come without risk. Fresh off the back of an ACL, 32 years old, he'll be mid-30s by the time it's over. You've already got Jack DeBellin in there as well. Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. Certainly, it doesn't seem to be a value for money signing, but again, maybe there's some other things going on we're not privy to.
Yeah, look, I was happy for it to be a 2-year deal. I'll be honest with that. I just am worried about the third year. He'll be 32 next year, which means he'll be 35 by the time this all ends, and I just am not sure, especially with forwards. We see forwards drop off quickly in our game when it comes to this because they just put their bodies through so much. And Mitch Barnett's now coming off an ACL. We don't know what it's going to be like, the recovery from him, and in terms of how he comes back and plays. Like I said the other week, it actually makes it's better to get him next year because he gets this year to work into it and get some confidence back up and things like that. But look, the money, when you think about Keon being like a 1.1 million guy now from the Dragons, you think about the money that they're paying Haas is on, a 1.2. I don't think he's up in that echelon at all. I think he's sort of around that potentially tier just below them. So when I put it into that and know that the figures are getting more and more stupid, we sometimes I feel like when we talk figures with players, we are guilty of thinking like back when it's 2005, 2010 or something like that. We're thinking sort of a little bit back then. Everything has increased naturally as we've gone throughout the years, but I'm okay. The money, it's slightly probably more, but we do probably need that senior figure that's, in my opinion, if he's still fit by midway through this year, he's still right in line for a New South Wales spot. So if you can get a New South Wales origin forward, you should go for it. It's clear the Eels need someone like that. I'm just worried about that third year. If we could get him for a 2-year deal, I'd be all for it. If that was a sticking point, I probably wouldn't have budged. I would have just said, look, no, we'll give you what we're giving you. You want to be closer to home. This is closer than Brisbane. Take it or leave it type thing. But yeah, interesting to see what happens.
Absolutely, and nothing's confirmed yet.
No, nothing's confirmed. It's apparently, it said on 360 tonight, Michael Chemis was saying that about 72 hours or something, they reckon that Mitch Barnett might have a decision. So keep an eye on the socials, guys. As soon as something does happen, we will obviously be posting it. By all reports, it's between 3 clubs now. So the Broncos, Manly and Parramatta are all in, apparently, with offers. The Dragons, thanks to NRL 360, they've spoken to him, but by all reports haven't put an actual offer in for Mitch Barnett. So to be honest, they probably looked at things and gone, we've got some fantastic young forwards coming through. We don't need a Mitch Barnett for that, especially for a 3-year deal. So anyway, let's move on and tackle some TLT key points for round 2. So a big one, and he's been confirmed tonight when we've got the updated team here for the Eels. Josh Adokar will return on the wing. Unfortunately, though, some late mail here. We literally got it as we just went on to air. We're like, what the hell? Will Penasini's out. I'm hoping that is injury-related. We haven't had a chance to actually delve into that, guys. We literally loaded up and we've seen that news. So excuse me if that has been covered. I hope it is injury-wise. I hope this isn't a dropping in a statement because this isn't the player to do that for, in my opinion. He gives his heart each and every week. He uses a battering ram more often than not. I get the defense was pretty poor across both edges yet last week. I don't think you crucify it. Will Penasini is still quite young. I hope we're not crucifying him over a poor performance that was basically more so in the middle. And from what I've seen so far, there's not really been any middle changes. I know Williams has gone in for Hopgood. Kelmer's got onto the edge, but that was an injury, a suspension force change. It wasn't a let's make a statement here. So no, it doesn't look like any of the forwards have actually been dealt with, which I would have prioritised. So I'm going to just assume and give Riles benefit of the doubt and say it's an injury-related change.
Yeah, I agree with you, but it's I'm a huge Penasini fan, so I hopefully he's not been dropped because he's not the guy and great young player. So I guess we'll see. Semrani, mate, I haven't seen a heap of him, but what I have seen of him, he definitely gives it his all. So yeah, he's going to have a big assignment.
Goer.
He's a goer. So yeah, obviously a big game for you boys up against the Broncos. It's certainly far from ideal having probably someone a little bit somewhat experienced out on that edge. We know how dangerous some of their strike weapons are. So, yeah, big assignment for Semrani. But, big week for your boys in general, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just quickly wanting to actually check with that lineup because in my head I'm thinking Semrani will be playing, which I have a feeling means he goes – because some people have said, why haven't they brought in Brian Kelly? That's all right. So Kelly for mine, I think that is a dropping. I think the fact that he was so poor defensively last week, that is the dropping. That's the statement. But I probably would have liked to at least one more player when you're doing that in the middle anyway. Sorry.
Foxy's back too, obviously. So I think Russell was on the wing. Was Russell on the wing?
Yeah, Russell is in the centre. In the centres.
Yes. Last week he was in the centres as well?
No, last week he was on the wing.
Yeah, so obviously the Fox returns Chuffles a bit, and yeah, Kelly wasn't awesome indeed, was he? So it's not ideal to be chopping and changing, but especially coming off the back of a 50-0 drumming. But I suppose you do also have to change a few things to try and get some results. But big week.
Good luck coming up against Katoni Stags. That's all I am saying. As a Para fan, I am shitting myself. Siwa Wong and Rob Toya are back named to start for the Roosters. So two pretty big ins, and that looks like a change there. I think it's inevitable. I think Siwa Wong is a freak. I was surprised last week he wasn't actually named anyway. So I know they keep having this little, I don't know, that they're sort of pissing him around a little bit because sometimes throughout the year he's in the middle, and then he's on the edge. I think he's an out-and-out edge. I love him on the edge. I think he's so dangerous. I hope they just start to pursue with this. And he's still young. I don't know why coaches and teams do this so much. Let him establish themselves as that. Like, he came through as this edge. I remember that semi-final, what was it, 2 years ago, where he just absolutely dominated the Sharks. He was literally probably the reason they won that game. And they try and last year turn him into some sort of middle and stuff. I get the appeal to having these guys being able to play both, but someone like Siwa Wong looks like, to me, an out-and-out edge back rower, and I'm so keen to see if he can hopefully keep this spot now and go into the season with it.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And I think obviously it's a bit of a flow-on effect of Spencer now going for 4 to 6, I think it is, with the Hemi. So we thought we saw some shenanigans last week with the team list for the Chooks, but as it turned out, Big Spenny did a Hemi. And I think Nat Butcher's a better middle. So I think it's a good result. You have Nat Butcher come in the middle. He can play that, that lock or prop type role. It doesn't really matter. And you put Siwa on the edge. He'll cause some headaches. Really looking forward to the battle between, I think it'll be Bobby, Toya and Latrell. So it's a bit of an origin audition, if you will. And I'm not going to say Toya gave him a bath last year, but we know the result. And the Bunnies were very... Yeah, he did, for a debutant at Origin level, and what I thought was going to happen, it was definitely not what occurred. So very much looking forward to that.
Let's not say a full bath. Let's say a bird bath.
You got the hose out on him and got him on the lawn. So it's going to be an absolute belting matchup. No love lost between these two clubs, and the Chooks need to respond after a pretty poor performance last week. And the Bunnies, whilst they weren't overly impressive defensively, they showed what they're capable of in attack. So. I think this will be an absolute belter for your Friday evenings, as we can all expect, and cannot wait to see this clash.
Absolutely agree. The West Tigers finally get to play. Last time we seen them was 3 weeks ago with the trials. So Macassini and Lau Lily are both being named, two of these bright young players. Lau Lily obviously off to the Bears next year. Macassini named at centre. I like him more personally on the wing. I'll be curious to see if this is how they actually play. I know he's been more so a centre, I believe, coming through the grades and the like. But from what I've seen so far, he's been a devastating winger at NRL level. I know it's only a very little, I guess, games that we get to go off with him, but including trials and stuff, I think he's shunned the brightest on the wing for Mackesini. But I'm excited to see both of these guys and the Tigers as a whole, Brent, just how they turn up. It's obviously a home game as well. It's against the Cowboys team, and we'll go into the tips shortly. But just on those two to be named, I think this shows some intent by Benji to say, no one's safe. You've got to put your best foot forward, and you'll be picked.
Yeah, and I don't know if what I saw in the last day or two was recent, but he'd certainly give the boys a rev up, sort of pushing standards and saying, we're not going to sort of be that club now that, we uphold our standards, and if you're not carrying your weight and you're not meeting your times, well, there's the door sort of thing. So I think that's great.
F off.
Great from Benji, channeling his inner Madge from Tiger Town, if you will. Not quite, but maybe.
It was flashbacks, wasn't it? It was like, oh, are we going back there, the Tigers? What are we doing?
But no, Benji's obviously got a great relationship with his players. I think he has the potential, to turn this club around and do some great things as a coach, like he did as a player. And I think he has a great relationship with just, seeing him on Terrell's podcast and things like that as well. He gets along with the guys, but he also knows what's required. He came through as an 18-year-old himself. I think he was 18, he might have been younger. But, it's really good to see him picking these young guys, rewarding them. Obviously the Big Macca, whatever we want to call him, cannot wait to see him get a crack. Would love to see him on that outside wing outside of Taylor, but with Stafford Toa out, I think it makes a bit of sense to throw him in there at centre and just, honestly, mate, the bloke looks like he could eat a car. I'm just, between, I think, him and Sanders, I reckon Rookie of the Year's tied up, but I just hope the bloke doesn't take someone's head off and gets like a 5 weeks, because he is just an absolute monster of a human being. Like, he's huge. So, yeah, pure athlete. Another one of these Islander boys that's just like a freak, and cannot wait to see him get a crack. And good luck to... Well, who's going to be on him? It'll be Purdue, I think, if he stays at centre. So, yeah, good luck, Jackson.
Oh, go. Okay, going off the Cowboys' defence as well. But this could... Anything could happen in this game. I tell you what as well, I hope Mackesini is a blue. Let's just say that right now. Let's lock that in and make sure he'll be in that back line for years to come. I am sure of it. The Melbourne Storm point of view, Jack Hetherington has been named on the bench, so we're wondering if he would fit into this team or not. It seems like that is the case. And no relation whatsoever, but Kobe, or at least I don't think so, but Kobe Hetherington for Manly will start at prop as well in place of Siwa Takiyaho, who's out for a week or two with an injury. So I was surprised Hetherington, who's been a new signing for Manly and has obviously come from the Broncos, was named on the bench last week. I thought he may have done enough. He's done enough so far in his career to... When I looked at that Manly side, I thought he probably would have got that starting spot. So I'm interested to see how he plays this week. He'll obviously have the 2 stints and see if he can help lay that foundation, that platform. Because to be fair, both Manly props to start with last week. I know they had all the ball, so it's hard to really go into too much detail with it. And it's easy just to be on the front foot when you're going downhill effectively. Keen to see what Hetherington can do starting, Brent.
Yeah, interesting one. I think he's a little bit almost underrated. He's very meat and potatoes, if you will. He's nothing too flashy about his game, but he definitely rips and tears. So yeah. I think Manly need that. Nothing against Siwa, obviously, but he's a little bit older now. And, they signed Kobe for a reason. So good to see him get his opportunity. And I think he'll do some good things at Manly. I must admit, I am still super, super keen to see young Joey Walsh get on. I don't know how he didn't get on at one point last week, but that said, they nearly ended up winning the game, so what would I know? But I just felt like at a point there, it was 20 minutes to go, they needed a spark, and didn't look like much was happening. As it turned out, I was completely wrong, but I felt like that game was screaming for a Joey Walsh, and maybe it's a bit rough to throw debutants. Or, well, he's played one game, I think, just to throw him in that scenario. But I think he would probably handle it too, just quietly. But, yeah, hopefully we get a dry track for this one. Certainly not the type of weather we got last week at Brookie. On a Sunday afternoon should be an absolute belter. Obviously, super keen to see my boys roll out. No Sharpie. Obviously, Sandon will get the nod at 6. So I guess that's some of that depth coming in, which is really good to see and something we haven't really been spoiled for in the past. So that's nice. But, yeah, I really hope we can do a number on them. But, yeah, a nice, warm, sunny arvo in Brookie is no walk in the park for a visiting team, that's for sure, mate.
No, they don't want to go 0-2 either. At Brookie, that wouldn't be the best way to start, and that would heap the pressure even higher onto Anthony Seibold. That is for sure. You did mention at the end that obviously Sandon Smith starts at 5'8", not halfback. I was curious to see if that would happen, if they would just push Brown to 5'8" and have Sandon, but I don't think numbers really matter. I'll probably anticipate that would be how they play this weekend anyway, but. I think the fact that Sharp's injury isn't as bad as they probably initially thought it was may have prevented them doing anything like that and changing things too drastically. They'll leave like this for the next week or two, and then apparently Sharp's back. So just more work and to allow Ponga, Brown to really work that combination, which seems to start doing some good things over in Vegas, obviously. Keen to see what they can do coming back to these shores. And that combination could quickly become one of the most potent and dangerous in this competition.
Mate, keep talking. I'm listening.
Don't stand up
Don't
either,
stop.
please.
Don't stop.
For last one for team changes, so Maxi Plath and Ray Stone for the Dolphins both come back in. They'll be off the bench at this stage. Keep an eye on some late mail there. Plath, by all reports, played, I think, hooker last week at Queensland Cup. So just keep an eye on where he does come and play. If that's the case, he'll probably end up doing the same thing here and probably just let them deal with the first 15 or 20 minutes and then come on and probably play the rest of that game. They'll try and ease him back in a way. So keen to see what they can do there. And I know that's against the Titans, so many would be probably favouring the Dolphins quite heavily there. I'm intrigued. We'll go into some of the tips and stuff now, but I like the fact that Stone's back for him as well off the bench, Brent. I think they have last week. They just needed that guy that's going to come in and sort of not give a shit, if you know what I mean. Just come in, and if he needs to whack someone, he'll just whack him. He doesn't care who it is, and I think that's what Ray Stone's known for. And even if it's only a 20-minute stint, he can do some damage in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they call him Scary Eyes or something. So adds a bit of grunt back for him. Nothing overly flash from old Ray Stone. And I can't recall now what he had some kids in the off season, and one of them's like Boris Stone, and like just perfect race. I'll have to find out what it is, and I'll let you know what they are, and you can share it around. But yeah, that adds a little bit of mongrel in there for him off the bench. And Maxi Plath, mate, I'm a huge Maxi Plath fan. Unfortunate he's a Queenslander, but, I think Schneider was probably, not out of place at hooker, and he definitely would offer something very different to what Maxi Plath does at hooker. And only, I think it was 2024, Maxi Plath was played a lot of hooker for the Finns. So, yeah, obviously maybe a slow return from injury, but he's very capable of playing 80 minutes as well, and he's an absolute gun. I think he's a future Origin star. I think most people are probably aware of that. Yeah, while they've got JMK and now Donahue missing, I think there's a couple of options there for him at hooker. But yeah, super keen to see Maxi Plath playing footy again, absolutely.
Yep, I agree. Alrighty, let's move on to our best bets and tips of the week. So this segment is obviously proudly sponsored and brought to you by bets.com.au. And I will just quickly, so what's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Now, before I go into the results, just quickly, so Brent's obviously come on just a week after we made our futures predictions as well. Just to let you know, he did lock these in, excuse me, a week or so ago, which I gave the tick of approval. I was happy with that. So only got to see some trials and stuff. Really didn't make a difference. And the Vegas games. And if he wants to put Newcastle in the comp, then that's all on him. So just quickly, I'll go over what he has put down, and I'll put this into the post, and we'll look at it obviously at the end of the year. Premiers, he's got Penrith, Minor premiers, the Chooks. Top 4, the Rabbits. Top 8 prediction, the Dolphins. Dally M, Cleary. Top try scorer, Alex Johnston. And top point scorer, Trell Mitchell. So good little points there. I think a number of those going off early days could be happening. So let's talk about the results. So firstly, tipping-wise, I believe we both got 5 on the weekend, mate. So I think we're sitting at 5. 5 for the weekend, for the total for our round. So I think we got 4. And then we obviously got, I got 4, you got 3. Sorry. Is that right? Have I completely stuffed this up?
Hang on.
I looked at it just before and I forgot to download it. Sorry, hang on. I'll quickly bring it up. I had the results here. Sorry, you got our results right now. We're both on 5 each. So you had 2 from Vegas. You were 2 from 2. So it means you got 3 on the weekend. I got, for our public tips that we do the post and talk here, I got 4. I actually got 5 on the ESPN app. I'm on 6 at the moment because I used my head and not my heart with those tips and actually tipped a Storm, and I was smart and didn't back against the curse. But here, stuck with my Eels. I was very much with my heart. You know what, though? We're getting beat by my little bloke. He's on 6 at the moment, leading the way just by pure M&M pick. So shout out M&M's. He's doing some great things, and he's beaten us by 1. So we're getting beat by a 2-year-old who has no idea what he's doing. So shout out to your little lakey bum. All right, let's do our results. So last weekend, I'm telling you now, guys, if you backed us in, which a few people did, especially early days, you were very happy with this. But so Bren got 3 last week. I got 2. So I'll just paint a picture here. After the first game, the Para versus Storm game, I was shit myself because Brent went thinking back, these odds were this was so increased, and obviously thanks to bets.com.au for getting us these best odds possible to get 725 for a Lasardi try. That was crazy odds for an edge back rower. That happened. That paid off. So I'm sitting there going, holy shit, I'm in trouble.
What I can say about that, well, you did that on it would have been a Tuesday. So there was still some speculation, Jolly, that he was actually going to get the spot. I think there was still a bit of murmurs. And then I had a look just before the game started, and he had rolled into 5s. So at the time of recording, it was overs because I think there was a bit of not sure if he was actually going to get the go-ahead and then even not play 80. But even to get him for 5s, and then obviously what they did in the end, it was a pretty lucky try, if I'm honest. It was a little dribble through from Money, Mad Dog, but he was brilliant, to be fair. But yeah, I'll take it.
I'll take it as well because on my personal betting side of things, having a bit of fun there, I actually went 4 from 4 on the weekends. I was wrapped with that. I just didn't go with my actual gut here. So I went Eels head-to-head at 275. Obviously didn't happen. Next game, Warriors versus Roosters. We both hit the green, which was great to see. I had a Crichton anytime try scorer, which obviously came off at 390. And then I had Tedesco anytime try scorer, which just easy money there. That's a simple bet at 275. That's fantastic odds. So Tedesco crossed over there. Then we unfortunately had a bit of a dry patch, which was just felt a bit weird after the start you had, especially. Broncos Penrith. I had Penrith 1-12. I thought I was going to be onto this one because I thought surely the Broncos were going to kick into gear in that second half and make a game of it, but just never did, unfortunately. And you had a Scotty Sorensen anytime try scorer who never really seemed to get that close, to be fair. It's just one of those games where he just did his hard work, really. So
he got dropped as well. He was named to stay on the edge and then got done. So I doubted myself. You can't get all the value all the time, but you live by the side.
How many $7 picks do you want?
That's what I was greedy.
Sharks versus Titans in a game that had try scorers everywhere, especially from a Sharks point of view. We had anytime try scorer bets, and none of them it didn't come off. So I had a same game multi of Katoa, which did come off, but Stone Street, a noted try scorer in a game where they score 50. Didn't score a try. I couldn't believe it. So I thought I was a shoo-in for that one. With the way they Sharks played, I literally sat there after about 20 minutes and went, all right, I'll get this. Because I know the Sharks just love scoring on the edges. I was like, yeah, sweet. $3 in the kitty. How good. Didn't happen. And you had a Furmore, unfortunately. And Titans just,
wrong side of the ball, mate. Wrong side of the ball.
Manly against the Raiders. It was bucketing down cats and dogs in this one. Again, we went the anytime try scorer route. I had Hudson Young, who set up a try. Unfortunately, didn't score one. But he was everywhere. He had a great game. on the weekend. And then you had a Tommy Turbo at Brookie, just easy money once again. It just made sense. Like when I look back at some of these bets, and especially the ones you made, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. So, and again, $2.55 for a Tommy Turbo try at Brookie, that is a steal. So, well done again, mate. That's good betting.
Oh, as I like to say, death, taxes, and a Tommy Turbo try at 4 Pines.
100%. Dolphins against the Rabbitohs. So I actually got a green here. I went the Rabbits 1-12. So lucky the Dolphins made a fight of it towards the end there and got a try and stuff. So that helped me out at $3. I was quite happy with that. You went a Fafita anytime try score. He made a break. Obviously, he set up a try, but just couldn't quite get across the line there. But at $4, that was almost some very good betting there as well. Unfortunately for our Hail Marys, we both didn't really go that close. So I had an Eero, Farnworth, and Toe anytime try scorers. Only Farnworth ticked that box. And you had a Panthers head-to-head, which was a tick. Manly head-to-head didn't happen. And then, obviously, Parramatta didn't happen either. So the totals there. So Brent's got away to a lead here, $17.99. And I'm sitting at $10.80. So he's off to just about a $7 head start. So, again, you can thank Isaac for that little head start he gave him round one. But going off his bets last week, I'm scared what he's going to produce. But hey, we'll put something on the line for that, I reckon, moving forward, and we'll confirm something in a post, I reckon. All right, let's get to this week's games, our tips, and also our best bets for this week. So first up, obviously tomorrow night or tonight for those listening to the podcast in the morning, Broncos against the Eels at Suncorp Stadium. Oh, I'm going the Brisbane Broncos. I'm too hurt now. I'm not going to go my heart anymore. I'm going to make sure I give you guys the best possible content and what I actually think. Broncos, I think, should bounce back in this one quite comfortably. When it comes to my best bet, let me just quickly... I'll throw to you, Brent, for your tip first while I wait for this to load up.
Yeah, mate, I think that Brisbane side need to bounce back. So do your boys. But Ezra back in the starting team at this point. I know he's not the most popular guy in the world, but I'm a huge Ezra man, the footy player on the field fan, and he'll add plenty of strike as well. And I expect Brisbane to bounce back with a bit of conviction. Sorry, brother.
That's all right. My best bet for this game, Gemat Shibasaki, anytime try scorer. $2.15. I just think that's still pretty good value for a guy that I envisage will score, especially now. I actually did this before this news about Will Pensini and stuff, but now that it feels like our edges are a little bit shallow once again, I'm happy to go in with that one of Reece Walsh. What does he do? That little cutout pass, and Shibasaki just smashes that hole. I can just see that happening. Your one?
Feeds him like a baby, mate. Yeah, I've gone, you'll notice, you're probably going to get bored of these, but I just look for the value, what I see as to be a value, so I keep it pretty simple. But I like your man, Katoga. I'm a huge Katoga fan. He runs a good line. He's hard to bring down. I've got him anytime. At this point in time, 6.25. I think that's too good to overlook for me, and that's where I'm at for that one.
Oh, that scares the shit out of me. If you start another week and get one of these ones, I will absolutely give it away. Friday, the first game, Warriors against the Raiders over in Go Media Stadium. So back-to-back home games. How good for the Wars. Who you tipping for this one?
Tough one, this one. The big thing with the Wars has always been a consistency thing, and we've obviously seen the Raiders show a bit of starts last week off the back of not starting too good. This is a very tough one to tip, Jolie. I'm given, I feel just what the Wars produced last week, I'm leaning towards the home team. It's a big trip for any Aussie club to obviously go over there as well. But I couldn't begrudge anyone going the Rays, but I think I'm going to go the Wars, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm with you. I am finding this game so hard to tip. I honestly haven't locked someone in yet, like in the app yet, but I am leaning towards the Warriors just for that home ground advantage, but that could change. I'm not 100. I love what I've seen from the Raiders last week, and the fact that they did that after having that start where they didn't touch the ball for the first 10 to 15 minutes is incredible. If they can get some balance of possession early on, and they're clearly a fit football side because they continued on and went home with a wet sail, I'm keen to see what they can produce against a Warriors team that did look good as well on the weekend, and that home ground support will be massive. Your best bet for this one?
Yeah, I think it'll open up a bit. I think there could be some points in it, and I've just found that I think KO weeks at 290 anytime is a bit of value in that one.
I've gone big here. I have actually gone, you know what, let's have a bit of fun. Let's try and get away to something at the moment and start to scare you because you're intimidating the shit out of me, and it's about time I do the same to you. I've gone an Adam Pompey first try scorer bet at $19. So I don't know. I just had this. I'm just having this in. I'm just envisage this try where he gets it from a grubber and just scores. So I'm just all over an Adam Pompey first try score. I think $19 for a center's tremendous value. I like it. So I hope I get this because you won't hear the end of it.
Mate, you know how much of a Pompey fan I am too, so this would put some burn into me if this one goes over. He'd be absolutely flying.
The next one you spoke about already. It's the biggest rivalry in the game, and it has been for over 100 years now. Sydney Roosters against the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Allianz Stadium. So keen for this one. For me, I've locked in the South Sydney. This is another one I'm actually finding really hard to tip because Souths are on a 5-day turnaround, which is tough. I'm 5-day turnaround. I hated what I seen from the Roosters last week, though. I didn't like the halves pairing and the like. I'm again like the Friday night games actually very very hard to tip. I'm locking in. Let's go the Bunnies to go 2 from 2 against the Roosters, just because the halves haven't quite clicked yet for the Roosters. Brent?
Yeah, mate, I think momentum is a funny thing, and that Rabbits team, yeah, I know there's some questions over the defence, but I don't know. I wasn't overly convinced with what we saw from the Chooks last week. It looks like there's still got a bit to work out there. For that reason, I'm going to go the Bunnies. But yeah, again, should be a cracker.
Yeah, I agree. Best bet for the week. Now, I think this best bet is probably going to be the most popular bet of all time. I think in betting history, this will have to be up there with the most. I'd love to hear from. I might reach out to our sponsor and see if they can get some research on this one. I'm going Alex Johnston to score 2 or more tries. I think that is just going to continue to come in. It's currently, I got it at $3.05, which for a guy to score 2 tries is quite low. I just think, obviously, the nostalgia of what it's going to mean if he gets it. I just need to have Alex Johnson 2 tries. What about you, Brent? Even if you come in with me, I don't mind it because I think the occasion deserves it.
Mate, I want you to get that one, I'll be honest. Against the Chooks, it would be super, super fitting. And I can't recall exactly who it was that said it in one of the chats today, mate, but how funny would it be if he crosses for the record breaker and everyone storms the field and then they go upstairs to review it and they give it no try? Shout out to the chat there. I like that bet. I think it's a very good bet. I'd love to see it, actually. So I'll back in on that one. For me, though, mate, I can't get away from this bloke. He's actually shortened after not scoring last week, and I was on him last week. But I just think he finds a pie better than I can find him at the servo, and I'm gone Fifi. I just can't get myself away from the big unit. He's come in a bit at this point in time, $3.45. So not heaps of value, but I think if there's a 3 in front of Fifi's name, it's hard for me to look away from him.
The reason he's come in is because he's up against a guy called Daly Cherry Evans, who was struggling in defence last week, it's fair to say. So I think that if I didn't go the iconic bet, that was my up my sleeve bet, but I have to just go for the 2+ tries. I really want to see it.
I like it.
Tigers against the Cowboys, Leichhardt Oval. For me, I'm going the Tigers at home to get something up here at Leichhardt. Sunny, hopefully afternoon game that seems to just bring out the best in the West Tigers. Cowboys just seem to not be improving their defence, so I'm keen to see what they can do there. But what are your thoughts?
Could be another shootout. Love a Arvo game at Leichhardt as well, mate. I'm with you. I think they'll get a big crowd, obviously, first game of the season for the Tigers. Obviously, Drinky carrying a little bit of a niggle with the rib now, and that goes at any point. They could be in. They lose Drinky, they lose a lot. So I'm backing you, and I'm on the Tigers for that one too, mate.
What's your best bet?
I'm going back to the well as far as he was there. He scored one in round one, and he looked good, and I think he's on the up, and then it's no secret. Helam Lukey, $3.90, too juicy.
I've gone to West Tigers 1-12 victory in here, $3. So I think it will be close-ish. I think the Cowboys can still score some points, just defensively that I'm really worried about when it comes to the Cowboys. Dragons against the Melbourne Storm. What are you thinking for this one?
It's one of those ones, right? You look at it on paper at the teams and you just automatically think Storm. But, history's shown the Dragons can do a number on the Storm, and they've pulled them pants down before at home, so they could do it again. That said, though, that performance last week from the Storm was pretty good. The Dragons were great in defence against the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, though, their new attacking coach is Adam O'Brien, so you've got to have a look into that for the future. But, I think it's too hard to look past that Storm team. They're probably going to keep rolling, I'd say.
I'm with you there, Melbourne Storm for me. Best bet, I've gone Joe Chan combining with Hughes to score a try there. Seen these odds at $4.20. I thought that was fantastic odds for a guy that Hughes just puts his back rolls in for fun, it seems like. And I think the Dragons, yes, defensively they have improved and they're looking better as a side. I just don't think they can go a full 80 minutes with Hughes peppering them and not concede at least one try on that edge. And I think Joe Chan will be the guy that picks that up.
Yeah, I like it. That one he scored last week, it was like it was like Apparel was short on the field.
It was
yawning gap. It did look like it, didn't it? Yeah. Look, mate, I've gone back. I'm loyal. He did it for me last week, and he's hopefully going to do it for me again. I've gone back to the big Lasati. At the time of recording, $5.50 for the big unit. I just love the look of him. I think this bloke is. I will not be surprised if we don't see Sean Bloor in a starting edge for the Storm again this year, potentially, depending on how Joey goes. But I'm all for big Lasati. Get on it.
The agencies are onto you, mate, because he's coming $1.50 from last week. There's no more getting value for that one. Penrith against the Cronulla Sharks. This is at Bathurst, so shout out as well to the Panther Army and Miko. If you haven't caught that little film clip they've produced and put together, collab to the page on it as well. So go and find it on their collab section of our Instagram page. Very fun and catchy sort of tune, actually. So credit to him. I quite enjoyed it, actually. It's been stuck in my head all day. So messaged Miko and said, thanks for this, because I literally haven't been able to get out of my head. But well done there. And I know the Hello Sport boys actually messaged me yesterday and said, get us involved with this video. It's actually catchy as. So they loved it. So it's great to see. But so I'm just going to stick with the theme. I think Penrith will get it done. I've seen enough from them on the last weekend to know that they're here and they mean business this year, and I don't think they'll lose here to a Sharks side that played very, very well. I think this will be a fantastic game. I just don't think they can go with a side like Penrith, who currently are up.
Oh, mate, if, as good as this Chookies and Rabbits game is going to be, I'm just as much looking forward to this one. Look, this is an opportunity for the Sharkies to sort of make a statement of their own for the 2026 season. Obviously, we all saw what Penrith did last week, so I'm finding this one difficult. Those Bathurst fields, they're a little bit smaller as well. I feel like there's not as much room for some reason. I could be completely wrong. Maybe it's just the layout of the place that they play, but I feel like it's going to be a tight one. Finding it very, very difficult to tip, but because of that reason, I have to go with the guys that know how to get the job done when the going gets tough. So it's hard to split them. I'm rolling with the Riff.
What's your best bet?
I've actually gone a fella who he was absolute on a vein of form last year. I'm hoping he'll open his account this week, but it's a big one. Euro at $3.60, I think is just too much. You got to ban me from these anytimes because they're so boring. I was
going to say it's all anytime for you, mate.
If you want to ban them, I'm happy to change it up. It's just what I feel like is the easiest thing for me to spot. And as soon as I add too many legs, that's when I start getting them wrong. So yeah, all in on the one Euro at $3.60. Let's see if we can open the account for the season, mate.
I'd love it from your Supercoach team, that's for sure. I've gone the Penrith Panthers to win 1-12, $2.80. I think the Sharkies have shown enough form to know that they'll go with them. I just think Penrith will edge them in just a touch of class there, especially when the likes of Nathan Cleary are sitting there. Next up for the Sunday games, actually Manly against your boys, the Newcastle Knights, mate. Sorry to say, I just don't see Manly losing 2 straight at home to start the season. I'm just going to go on. I'm just tipping Manly purely off the fact that it's at home. If this was in Newcastle, I'd tip Newcastle. So it's just literally the home ground advantage that has swayed me.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because they started coming out the gates, obviously blaring against the Raiders, ran out to, was it a 14-0 lead pretty quickly, and then conceded 28 straight and then managed to pull it back. So, I mean, I don't know how you're going to read on that. The weather was interesting. I mean, it's going to be an absolute ripper of a game on a dry track, but I'm just beating around the bush here, and I just feel like KP's in some sort of form that we haven't seen for a little while, and that makes me excited. And
KP against Turbo, what a battle! These were guys almost forgotten about last year thanks to injuries. Going off their first round form, this could be a humongous clash.
Yeah, it should be an absolute belter, but I'm gonna stay loyal to the boys and probably a little bit biased on this one.
That's right, mate. We love it, the passion. Best bet for me, I am going Mr. Cooler himself, anytime try scorer. Not a whole heap of value, just a guy that I just think will continue to score. He's a freak. I just want to see him get more and more ball. $2.25.
All right, I'm on Dylan Lucas. Surprise, surprise, anytime. $3.50. I think we'll find some space on those edges, and I see him going over at some point, and $3.50 is too good for me.
Yeah, love it. Last one, the Queensland Derby, Dolphins versus the Titans. I will be going the Dolphins here. The Titans I think they'll improve, but I think the Dolphins need to make a statement here as well and get its first win of their season, even though it's only round 2. I think the Dolphins just have too much class around this football side to let the Titans get away with this one. So Dolphins for mine.
Yeah, I'm with the Finns. They'll bounce back, and hopefully, again, we get a bit of dry footy for this one because both these teams have some points in them. So it should be an entertaining game, but I'm on the Finnies, and I'll lead in with my best bet for this one, brother, just to roll us out. You guessed it. Anytime try scorer. I think AJ Brimson will be in amongst it, and I was quite surprised to see $4.40. I think that's some crazy value for a Brimo try at some point.
Not bad at all. I've gone Lemuelu, another edge forward. Anytime try scorer, $3.70 there. Hail Marys, let's finish with a Hail Mary. So I am going over 55.5 match points for that Finns versus Titans game. I think there'll be some points scored in that one. I've got Manly to cover the 4.5 line at home. I've gone Moses Leo. Sorry, mate. Moses Leo, anytime try scorer for the Storm. I can't not include this guy either. At Leichhardt Oval, he's now the young gun. Everyone will be wearing headgear to the game soon. Makasini, anytime try scorer for the Tigers as well. Combine all 4 of those, it's going to get you odds currently of $23.19. So I don't mind that at all. Brent?
I like that. I had a look at Leo in that Storm game. I think he's got a bit of value too, but I think that, Newey will end that one, thankfully. But good luck. Mate, it wouldn't be a bet of mine without at least having one anytime try scorer. So in that Sharkies Penrith game, I've looked to Paul Alamotti to get over at $2.85. I just like that figure for Paulie. And I've rolled into a couple of head-to-heads. So I've got Souths at this point outsiders at $2.02 as per the odds I was looking at, and I'm backing my boys at $2.45 head-to-head, giving me a grand total of $14.10.
There we go. Anything can happen around 2, guys. So that is our best bets and tips. Again, you'll see all these posted sort of throughout the weekend, and back us in. Ride with us. Let us know. Join the Legends chat. If you would like to, Legends group, we'll add you to the betting chat as well. Be in amongst us throughout the weekend and chat all amongst all the multis again on the weekend. Some fantastic results, and the group's going off and some very good results. And as I said, going off last week's results, we're in a bit of form ourselves, which is nice to see. But that's basically it, Brent. That's all we've got time for. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Please like, subscribe, add some comments. Go ahead, like across the social media pages. Huge shout out as well to the Facebook followers out there. 30,000 followers we are now over. So that's a huge milestone to reach. So very thankful to everyone out there who is continuing to show support to the page. Absolutely love you for it. It means the absolute world to myself and the rest of the crew as well. Brent, thank you very much for being part of the show tonight. Good luck for your best bets and your tips. And bring on another weekend of footy.
Mate, appreciate it. Always a pleasure to, what are they called? Chew the fat with yourself, talking a bit of footy, mate. I'd love to wish you all the best with your best bets, but I'd be lying. And can we put a call out to the Loy faithfuls to give us some suggestions for our punishment, if you will?
Ooh,
let's get some suggestions of what you want to see.
DP, is that number one, or are we going somewhere else? Let us know, because who knows? I'm up for anything. I'm open to it. I'm happy to produce some content, mate. So let us know.
Absolutely, mate. Bring it on. And yeah, all the best to everyone with your tips, your punts and your Supercoach team and all that wonderful stuff, and enjoy that round 2 purge.
Good night, good morning, whatever it is. Enjoy your day. We'll see you again Sunday night, which will be a live, our first live of the year, straight to Facebook and YouTube. Goodbye.